Welcome to the American Med Spa Association podcast, Medical Spa Insider. This week, AmSpa founder Alex Thiersch is speaking with Lisa Lickstein, co-owner and chief operating officer at Lickstein Plastic Surgery and Med Spa.
Refresh your body, mind, and career journey at the Women in Aesthetics Leadership Conference being held October 3rd through the 5th at California's beautiful Terranea Resort. Walk is more than just another convention. It's an immersive retreat that combines education and networking with rejuvenation. For women aesthetic professionals who dedicate their time to the health and happiness of others, this is the opportunity to get away and focus on your own wellness. Reconnect to your passions and return with bold new inspiration for your business. Walk celebrates the med spa industry's opportunities for female empowerment and entrepreneurship, including the ceremony for the 2025 Distinguished Women Awards. Find out more and register at experiencewalk.com. That's experiencewalc.com. And as a Medical Spa Insider listener, you can receive 10% off your registration if you use the promo code WALC10. That's WALC 10.
Promo code valid for inclusive registration until September 11, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or standard registration until October 3rd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Promo code only applies to the primary registrant and cannot be combined with any additional offers.
Okay, everybody, welcome. Alex Thiersch here, and this is Medical Spa Insider. And we are very lucky to have Lisa Lickstein or Lickstein, I'm sorry. Lickstein of Lickstein Plastic Surgery in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, which, by the way, is gorgeous. I was just there for the first time not too long ago. Never been there. It's amazing. Lisa has a master's in social work and an MBA. She is the co-owner and chief operating officer of Lickstein Plastic Surgery and Med Spa, I should say, and has been a member of AmSpa, a supporter of AmSpa. Thank you very much for that. And we are very grateful to have her as a speaker at the Women's in Aesthetic Leadership Conference coming up in October. She's got an incredible talk, Achieving Competitive Advantage and Increased Profitability Through Unreasonable Hospitality, which is the topic of today's conversation, which we're going to get into. Unreasonable Hospitality is based upon a book that we're going to get into by Will Guidara, is that how you pronounce it? Guidara, which I had never heard of, and I feel kind of silly about that because the way you've been talking about it ahead of time, I feel like it's something I should have read. So we're going to get into that and a few other things. First of all, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. How are you been? What's the latest? Yeah, of course.
Right.
How have you been? What's the latest?
We have been very good. We are growing. So we founded our surgery practice in 2017. David's been practicing in 2002. My husband's a board certified plastic surgeon. We've added another surgeon. We're about to add a third.
Wow.
Our
awesome.
physician assistant, Christina Hobgood Naugle, became our partner, and we expanded to a freestanding medical spa where she's now clinical director. She's a top 100 aesthetic injector and just a phenomenal clinician. And we have just grown our team. So we have multiple PAs, multiple nurses, multiple doctors, multiple locations. We have a freestanding medical spa and also medical spa services in our surgical location. We are building out a Quad A certified operating suite and expanding both the surgical and med spa offerings we have a very small little pop-up inside of a day spa in Port St. Lucie, which is about 40 minutes north. And we have we're going to be building out another in a new area in Florida called Avenir, which is going to be about 20 minutes.
Awesome.
So lots of growth.
Good for you.
And our, knock on something, we've had a very good year. Our profits are up, our revenue's up, we're doing well.
Good for you. That's awesome. That's great to hear. I didn't prep you for this question, but I just thought I'm curious about this is because I've seen interestingly the kind of interplay between plastic surgery and med spas. I've been at this for a while, and when I first started, I was practicing law, so I was helping a lot of surgeons as they tried to set up med spas, and at first I saw a lot of plastic surgeons really struggled with it. But I feel like I've seen that start to change, and some of the most successful med spas that I've seen have been either affiliated with or part of plastic surgery centers. And I feel like if you can make that combination and you can do it, you find that secret sauce, it can be really, really big. And I'm curious, you said you now have a freestanding med spa. Talk about kind of that interplay, how you go about figuring out the dynamic between the surgery side and the medical spa side. Whether do you have staff that works on each individually? Is there a bunch of crossover? How do you get patients? Is there a lot of referral from patients back and forth? Because that's a question that a lot of folks have, and it's obvious that you figured it out, which is amazing. And I'd love to hear some thoughts on that.
Well, thank you. And I would say, like anything else, it depends on your providing staff, right? So I will start
Right.
with our now partner in our medical spa and our clinical director there. My husband's the medical director, Christina Hobgood Naugle, who is just phenomenal, was my husband's surgical PA for a long time. And she organically built from our patients who were a combination. So in our plastics practice, we see cosmetic surgery patients,
Yeah.
but we also do breast and skincare, so reconstruction. And so those are very relationship building things. There's multiple appointments. You're seeing people through difficult times. Christina was extremely skilled, as was our nurse, Trish Bender, at working with these patients to help them venture from illness to wellness and stay with us and try these new things. And so the practice built organically that way. Around COVID, I know a lot of people are like, why would you expand in COVID? We expanded in COVID. Christina said, I really think that we should, it was really her idea to put it in a separate location.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate to be able to do a tester site. An existing medical spa decided to move. And so there was an already built out, even like the laser plugs location near us. And because that shopping center was under construction, we were able to do a short-term lease on, to try it out for a year in a place that we still had to, it had to be fixed up, it had to be modernized, but it was built out. It was not an overwhelmingly scary investment to try it. And my goodness, our patients were so excited. So the feedback that we got from our patients are people self-selected. There are patients that really want to get these services with the doctor at a doctor's office, a medical feeling facility. And I say our main office is beautiful and feels for a surgery office to be very living roomish and warm and lovely, but it's still a doctor's office. And then there are patients that really want to get these services in something that feels more like a salon or a spa, and it's just a lovely day with girlfriends and a lighter atmosphere and a great amount of elegance. Christina is very central to crafting that this be an elegant feel and graceful aging. My husband was in a prior surgical practice before we opened this one, and we really opened this one with the intention of world-class care and the welcoming atmosphere you deserve, that everybody is treated the same and everyone's treated with a very warm welcome. And then we said, okay, but it still sometimes feels, if we've seen up to 150 patients a day, sometimes that feels a lot. There are a lot of people. We've had patients say sometimes that they felt like, wow, that person's dealing with a lot and I'm just coming in for here, and they might want to go to a place where they don't have that feeling where everyone's just coming in for something aesthetic and fun. We try very hard to schedule so that people are roomed appropriately. No one feels uncomfortable in the rooms, but people self-select. And in terms of our staffing, we have many staff that go back and forth. Christina is really 99% at the freestanding spa. She does help my husband in the operating room sometimes. And most of our staff, that spa staff, is with the equipment that they use, right? So we have one set of body sculpting equipment. We have a cool sculpture, that's at the spa. So Trish's that facility. Our estheticians go back and forth. And they see their clients back and forth with, like, if their clients are seeing the surgeon, then they'll see them at the main location. And we have double Clear and Brilliant. We have double Sciton, Halo BBL. We have Vivace. We have, we have multiple things, so that's easy. We have one Elecor that's at the spa. We try to do what fits best for the patient and is most convenient for the patient. Most of the staff go back and forth. We have 2 staff that go up each 1 day a month to our little outpost in Port St. Lucie. And we're sort of testing the waters up there.
Yeah.
And
now, is it? I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. Are more non-surgical treatments done at the med spa than at the surgical office? Meaning, is the majority of your kind of non-surgical, like energy device treatments, are most of those done at the med spa, or is there still a significant number done at on the surgery premises as well?
We do still about 30% of our total non-surgical services are done at the main office. Which again,
so you've got, but 70% is okay.
Yeah, 70% is
Gotcha.
down at the med spa. We have 2 dedicated injector rooms, a dedicated esthetician room, and a dedicated laser room in our main surgical office.
Gotcha.
So those are all located together and have more of a spa feel than our regular rooms. But it is not freestanding. It's worked. It takes work. It takes work to make people feel like a team. We have staff meetings together. We do staff outings together. Really important to do that way.
That's really cool. I've always told plastic surgeons who were, or cosmetic derms who are looking to get into a med spa, that you've got to treat it as a separate thing, because it really is its own. They're different patients, and I think it's really cool that they're self-selecting, but it's a different thing. And it's not surprising that you have your PA she's pretty much dedicated full-time to the medical spa. So that's kind of where she's in charge of that, and that kind of reflects probably a lot of what she has learned. And I imagine a lot of what she has learned is reflected upon what you have taught her through the Unreasonable Hospitality Advantage, which we're here to talk about. But it's a cool dynamic, and it's good to see it succeed. And I'm telling you, the biggest and most successful aesthetic practices that I've seen from a medical, from non-surgical side come from or are offshoots of surgical practices. And so whenever I hear surgeons say, "Oh, I don't know why people are doing these med spas, it doesn't really work," it's like, whew, you're just not doing it right. You got to figure it out. So congrats on that. That's really, really exciting.
Thank you. I do. I'm going to make a correction though. I'm going to say that Christina is key to our success, and she has been around far longer than we have known about or engaged with intention of unreasonable hospitality. So
all right.
It is not us putting that on
Understood.
her. Anyway.
That makes sense. So let's, first of all, you have a background in social work and you're an MBA, which I think is fascinating because, being a business owner and a manager of people, I wish I had a background in social work. I would love to know, first of all, let's kind of back up and just set the stage. Talk about what what unreasonable hospitality is, and how you kind of came about to discover it, and then we can get into how you've utilized it in your practice and how folks can kind of learn from that.
Thank you. That's great. So I think all of us are inundated with wishful potential vendors who come to see you. And in all forms, right? Device reps and product reps and financial reps and platform reps that come and they want to see if they can do business with you. So we're very, very active in our community. We support a lot of nonprofits, and we're very active in our Chamber of Commerce. And our chamber is actually in our plaza. So we do a tremendous, tremendous amount with them. I was at a chamber event, and shortly after the chamber event ended, a woman came over to me and was trying to pitch financial services. And I really believe you talk to everyone, because that's fundamental. Everyone, like, why not? That's how they build the network. It's how you build community. So I said, sure, come to the office. We had a lovely talk. And the next day, it surprised me. I thought I'd get a thank you note. What I got was a book. And the book was Unreasonable Hospitality. Now, that piqued my interest tremendously. So in reading Unreasonable Hospitality, I'll say I've been to the restaurant in New York City, 11 Madison Park, and I had heard in a business sense of Will Guidara. He's an internationally known speaker. He commands giant sums of money to speak to large corporations all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And this book has been an international bestseller translated into many languages. But the basic principle is you succeed by giving people routinely and with intention more than they expect. And that is like basic business principle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the story, a lot of business books are hard to read. This
Mm-hmm.
was so easy to read. It felt like a great story, was a real easy page turner. And when I was reading it, we were at a point, ongoing professional and personal development in our staff, but also realizing that we send our injectors to courses, we send our doctors to courses, we send our billing staff to courses, we send our coordinators to courses. Our first impressions team, our MAs, are sort of the staff that really are like hands-on. We don't so much send them to things. There might be something we'll do online. We close
Mm-hmm.
patients at least once a year and do a full training for strategic planning. We'll bring people in to talk. That's great. But we thought maybe we'll do a book club. We'll make it optional. See
Mm-hmm.
who wants it. So when I read the book, I said, okay, guys, if anybody wants this book, we'll buy it for you and we'll take you to dinner afterwards to talk about it. That surprised us. That was the start of something pretty special. I put over here because it's most of the books we read, but Unreasonable Hospitality was the first one. And we read
Mm-hmm.
that. We read Atomic Habits. We read The 5 a.m. Club. We read How to Lead When You're Not in Charge. One of my staff bought me this book, Trade Up, which is wonderful. And it's some type we'll all remember and we'll all read it. We're reading right now, You're a Badass by Sincero. One of our speakers gave me this book, It's Not Just Who You Know. And while we have not yet read the 5-second rule, we have read Let Them Theory, but I don't have any extras. So our staff over the last year has really learned and grown together. And it's been a very lovely thing. We always had holiday parties and we do birthdays and like all kinds of showers, wedding showers and bridals, baby showers and joyful things. We do Race for the Cure together. We had the LPS Cup. We went bowling together, those sorts of team building activities. But this has been a very lovely thing. And since it's optional, it's no stress, but people have this opportunity to get to know people in a different way. And it's a lovely lunchroom conversation. It's a lovely thing to do across offices.
Mm-hmm.
So
and how many typically participate? I mean, is it most of your staff or?
Well, we're a little over 30 in staff, and most we've had is 16 at one of these events. We've had as little as 4. But in terms of who bought the book, usually about a dozen people take the book. And that's a nice thing. It's a good way to build.
And you're solely focused on these kind of career help, business advancement type of books, as opposed to, The Alienist or something like that.
Gotcha. Yes. Gotcha. But it's really lovely. We send out, we ask people for recommendations and we send it out and we vote. And
I like that a lot. That's cool.
Whoever has the most.
Yeah.
So one of our speakers from the community of the very, very well-regarded country club came to talk about hospitality. And when we showed him about the book club, now they are doing a book club there. It works. It's a nice thing.
Yeah, no, I might steal that, honestly. I think it's cool. Because I'm always trying to get but it's voluntary, right? So it's like people want to read it, but you also get to kind of tell who's into that kind of thing, right? Who wants to advance and think in those terms, which is cool. So how does that translate then into? Well, I guess, what's the next step, right? So you've read the book, you've got the book. What does that teach you?
I have to tell a small bit about the story, obviously at the presentation, and I think it will be wonderful. We'll go through.
Well, everyone must come to see that. I can't wait for it myself.
But thank you. But Will Guidara was a young restaurateur who was assigned to be a manager of a Danny Meyer restaurant in New York City. So it's Danny Meyer, it's already going to be great. And it was a good restaurant, and he wanted to be better. And he was very excited to get to the point where he was invited as one of the top 50 restaurants. How do I get my from one Michelin star to three Michelin stars? I'm a top 50 restaurant, and was disappointed to find that he was 50. He didn't be 50. And he looked around this room of people who were the leaders in his industry and said, every one of the people here has a phenomenal chef. Everyone is an amazing pastry chef. Everyone is an incredible location. Everyone is an amazing owner. How do I get to be one? How do you get to be one? And he really went about systematizing things. So the unreasonable hospitality is a process of how do you systematize this opportunity to exceed expectations on a daily basis. And very clearly, it starts with your staff. You can't ask your staff to provide unreasonable hospitality if you're not providing that for them. And the thing is really, people talk about customer service a lot. So the difference between customer service and hospitality is very fundamental. So in customer service, that's your job. You're doing the full job well. Hospitality is how you make people feel. So Will Guidara talks about customer service as black and white and hospitality as color. But you want to leave people with the story they want to tell. You don't want to be, hey, would you mind filling out a Google review? You want people to go, I want to leave a review. Where do I do that?
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Customer service is kind of like the things, the tasks, and hospitality is like the feeling, the vibe, more or less.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So he gives 3 rules to unreasonable hospitality. And the first is really important in our industry because we all have so much going on, right? There's all sorts of patients. There's all sorts of things with all the patients. I always tell people, like, you can't pour out of an empty cup. You have to fill yourself because you're pouring out all day in our profession, right? You're people's concern and stress and helping them feel better. So the 3 things, number 1 is to be present, be fully present with the person in the room and what they're trying to tell you. You're not thinking about whatever's going on at home. You're not thinking about that you're running late. You're not thinking about they're on charge. You're not thinking about any of the zillion other things. You have to somehow run between the things, open the door, and be just present with that person for the entirety of the thing. So that's 1. The second one is to be flexible. How many times do we all have where the patient shows up on the wrong day for the wrong procedure at the wrong time, with thinking they're going to pay with points that have expired? All the things that happen in our profession that you really need to be able to be flexible for, because if you're not flexible, if you make them feel like this is their fault somehow, that's going to damage the relationship. And the third part is that it's one of one. Every experience needs to be bespoke to that customer. Like, yes, you've given 100 facials. How is this one different? This one's different because you're talking about this person's needs and what's going on in this person's life. And you're remembering what they're allergic to and what scents they like. And if they like music or they don't like music, if they like when you're talking or they don't like when you're talking, all the things that make the experience what that person wants, and then even elevated. We've had patients gone through a lot and they come and it's their birthday month. We'll had a birthday party for them. We have different things that have made very impactful, meaningful moments in our practice, and things that you do during treatment and things that are just relationship building. We had a relative, a disabled relative of a patient show up in our waiting room in a rainstorm, and we took him home. That the things that you do to just go the extra mile.
He's talking about Will Guidara is talking about this in relation to how you build unreasonable hospitality in relation to making his guests that come to the restaurant feel a certain way.
Yes. So
But then,
very classic, quick example.
yeah,
He Michelin starred restaurant in New
yeah,
York City. He hears a table talking among themselves that this was their foodie vacation and they had gone to several Michelin starred restaurants, but they didn't get to go to the street cart and have a New York City hot dog. And he sent a staff member out to get hot dogs, cut them so that they were on everyone's plate with a little ketchup and a little mustard. And he brought them out as a surprise. That was unreasonable hospitality.
Yes, I get it. That's awesome. But then what I was going to follow on with that is you're taking that to a kind of a almost a different level and applying it to how you do it to your culture in your team, which is different, right? And your point, which I think is brilliant and astute. You can't have one without the other. But I also think they're two very different things, and it's different to apply that to your team than it is to necessarily apply it to the public, which everybody kind of gets. But everyone gets, okay, you've got to treat your customers a certain way, but to create that culture where it's like that, that's a much harder secret sauce to kind of create. Does that make sense?
It is a struggle, but I will say that Will Guidara really does provide a pathway. And so what he talks about is a customer advantage map, a customer journey advantage map. And what he does is encourage everyone to look at all the touch points of your customer's journey. So we looked, I charged our staff and I said, look, where our full staff training day is in January. So it was November. And I said, I want each of you to send me what your touch points are, what kinds of things you do with our patients. Send me as many as you can think of. And just like with Will Guidara, with his staff, when he originally had like 20 and he built it to over 100, I kept at them until we had over 100 touch points. It's very easy to, okay, someone called on the phone, we made an appointment, they checked in, we roomed them, we did the procedure, we gave them a product, and we checked out. But so many other things happen. So when we fleshed out our full list of over 100 touch points, we broke into teams. And of those teams, we said, each team take 2 that you want to take ownership to elevate during this quarter. And it was very interesting. Like someone would say, like, okay, we give a patient an ice pack all the time. That's recurring, right? All the time we give a patient an ice pack. How can we make that experience more meaningful, more impactful, right? What can we do when we give someone an ice pack? And so adding things around that, we're going to give them water. We're going to see if they want tinted sunscreen to cover up the redness. We're going to tell them about certain promotions or what we're doing at the time. We're going to invite them to our cosmetic conversations, whatever it is that we're doing when we give them the ice pack. That's more than just, here's some ice and I'm leaving. An elevated an experience that's more than what they had expected. But another piece, and Will Guidara will say that every touch point is positive, negative, or neutral. Some of them are recurring. In a restaurant, a lot of people get engaged at a restaurant, right? That's recurring. They want to think of how do we make that special each time. Some people, few people, but some people are going to be left-handed. How do we prepare to have those sorts of instruments for people to have the right place setting, right? Those are restaurant ones. And I have all sorts of examples of our industry and other industries that we'll be working on and developing. People will leave with very personal resources when they come to the talk. But for us, I'll give a quick example. We had long-term patients. We have patients that have been with us since my husband started practicing in 2002. Our next new patient number is over 60,000. We've seen a lot of people.
Wow.
But we had a husband and wife come in, and they felt comfortable after years of experiences telling us that day, that experience was not what they felt was our typical brand. We had failed. We had come up short. We felt people that they had said that this was not our best day. It gives you an opportunity to reflect on what happened. it seemed that a lot of that was around taking the payment. And, sometimes things just fail spectacularly, but that day they did not feel the warm fuzzies or the love or privacy or elevated. You're buying something special, right? When you're going to buy cosmetic surgery, you want it to feel special.
Yeah.
It didn't convey that. But interestingly, when we had that day of take touch points and write how you want to elevate them, our staff had already identified that as a touch point. And they had, in fact, written down what Will Guidara will call low-hanging fruit, middle of the road, or audacious ways to elevate. And they had already identified those 3 levels of ways to elevate the payment-taking experience. We implemented that. That's been such a win. It's such a win. People feel really special. We bring them back to a different office. We have somebody that they've known the whole journey, sit with them. We give them a bag of products and instructions, and like people leave feeling like, oh, excited about what their purchase was. It's the bow on the car, right? So we were able to do that, but it wasn't us going, how do we fix this? It was our staff had already seen we could do this better, and that makes it so much easier.
That's so cool. And so your presentation in October at Walk, the women's conference, what because I know there's going to be there's at least time for some kind of interactivity and some where you're, and so talk about what people can expect to learn, because I think it's do folks, should they have read the book ahead of time, or is obviously it's not
I
required.
think
We're not doing
everyone should read the book, but you
I
definitely do not need to read the book beforehand.
right.
I'm going to go over the basic principles
Yeah.
and help the people who are at the program learn the process of identifying the touch points that their patients go through on the journey, learn for them to be able to get their staff to help expand that list and identify ways to either elevate an experience or reduce a number of a negative experience, right?
Yeah.
If positive, negative, or overlooked, right? You have experiences that are overlooked, right? What's an overlooked experience? Well, everybody uses the bathroom. Is it lovely? Could you make that experience nicer for your patients, or is it just like there's a bathroom, right?
Mhm.
A negative experience, inherently negative experience, is paying the bill. Who likes to pay the bill? How do
Yeah.
you make that positive, right? So,
I don't know.
but there are things to that, and then we're going to talk about things that you can do that work with your staff as well. So I'll say, like, part of this process where we really talk about elevating the experience and making this better for our staff and the staff owning it, we had a staff member notice that another staff member was really doing extra. And this was a very, very humble staff member. And she said to me, she poked in, she goes, she's doing so great. I wish we could get her one of those plastic trophies. And I was like, you know what? Let's do that. And so from that, and I have one here. We got these little star performer awards, and they're only for people who other staff have noticed doing well. So they have to nominate each other. And then we give them a staff meeting and they know why. And it's very affirming because it's everyone seeing each other going above and beyond and being a great team member. That's a really nice thing.
That's so cool. So, and when did you start? First of all, when did you first read this book? And talk about we're kind of running up against time, but I want to end on how long did you was it before you started seeing the positive impact on your team? What was that kind of that implementation and journey process like?
I think it's something you could feel, right?
Yeah.
It's something that you could feel and I think any business, and certainly we did go through periods where people are exhausted and sort of more poking at each other than feeling like a team and help. And we talk a lot about intentionality, assuming positive intent, taking a moment and if you see that what you said didn't land well, to say it again, try again. But this book I read a little over a year ago, and immediately thought there's something here.
So this is relatively recent though, that you've
about a year and a half. We use 2 consultants. And I don't know if I'm allowed to
Sure.
share. Okay.
Go ahead.
So, we have for since the start used Amy Anderson of now Anderson Consulting Group, when she was with Anderson before. And we use Terry from
Terry Ross.
Perry from Terry Ross Consulting.
Gotcha. Yep.
And Christy is phenomenal. And the reason why I have 2 consultants, first of all, they work really well together and they're gems, brilliant. But our businesses really we have concentric circles. We have they're both really good, but we have a growing med spa area and a growing surgical area. And it's good to have outside eyes on different things. So we had them come and they come and work together. But Amy told me, that Unreasonable Hospitality, there's a certification for teaching that now. And I said, did you get that? And she goes, no, I don't, and so I was like, I'm going to do that. And
that's awesome.
That really came from Amy. And
did you actually do that? Did you get the certification?
I did. I am a certified through Coach Builder Unreasonable Hospitality Coach, which is how AmSpa I did to.
That's great. That's so cool. That's all. I mean, so first of all, if you're listening to this,
read the book. I have gone through very extensive and official training, and honestly the presentation that I have are slides that are provided only to certified trainers.
Okay. Wow. No, I can tell. I mean, I can tell by the way that you talk about it, right? It comes from it's not just like a place, oh, I'm slightly interested in this. It comes from a place of, this is something that you're very passionate about, which is really cool and fun to watch. I can't wait for the presentation myself. And I do have to say, so for the WALK, the Women's Aesthetic Leadership Conference, is October 3rd through 5th at Terranea Resort in Ranchos Palos Verdes, California, which, by the way, is amazing. Have you ever been there before?
Well, our youngest daughter goes to school at UC Santa Barbara.
So you're.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
That is first of all, that's amazing. I always wanted to go to UC Santa Barbara, but that's amazing. But it's such a beautiful location. And if anyone listening would like to listen to Lisa and her presentation, which I can't wait for, please log on to experiencewalk.com, which is WALC.com. And as a podcast listener, you'll get 10% off of our inclusive or standard registration by using the promo code WALK10. So it's WALC10, and we will see you there. Lisa, I'll let you end with final thoughts. This was really cool to talk to you. I'd love to have you back. I want to have you come in and teach us the Unreasonable Hospitality because I think it's just such a cool thing.
I will leave with just this. So sports teams, Will Guidara will say, in a sports team, when you do poorly, they'll go to the tape. They make you review the tape of what you did wrong. Review the tape of what you do right so that you can systematize it. We asked all of our staff to supply us with their highlight reel, the things that they felt they did the best, that made them feel the best about their job, that made the most impact on our patients in their career with us. And we put them all together. That's so impactful for your staff to be able to see and read and repeat and fill their cups on a difficult day.
Yeah, for sure.
So Kathy told me I could say it's on a difficult day.
I love that.
It's a really wonderful thing to ask your staff for their highlight reels and to help them focus on systematizing and putting in place all the right things.
That's so cool. Well, if anyone wants to reach out to you and hear more, how do folks get in touch with you?
2 ways. I'm very happy to take a phone call, 561-313-2100. It's an easy number. Or my first initial is L Lickstein at LicksteinPlasticSurgery.com. I'd be very happy to talk to anyone at the conference as well.
That's awesome. We will include all that information in the information on this podcast. And thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome. It was great talking to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course.
Take care.
Refresh your body, mind, and career journey at the Women in Aesthetics Leadership Conference, being held October 3rd through the 5th at California's beautiful Terranea Resort. Walk is more than just another convention. It's an immersive retreat that combines education and networking with rejuvenation. For women aesthetic professionals who dedicate their time to the health and happiness of others, this is the opportunity to get away and focus on your own wellness. Reconnect to your passions and return with bold new inspiration for your business. Walk celebrates the med spa industry's opportunities for female empowerment and entrepreneurship, including the ceremony for the 2025 Distinguished Women Awards. Find out more and register at experiencewalk.com. That's experiencewalc.com. And as a Medical Spa Insider listener, you can receive 10% off your registration if you use the promo code WALC10. That's WALC 10.
Promo code valid for inclusive registration until September 11, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or standard registration until October 3rd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Promo code only applies to the primary registrant and cannot be combined with any additional offers. Thank you to producers Madeline Mahler, marketing content coordinator who organizes, schedules, and handles our guests, provides topics, talking points, and guest bios to our hosts. And myself, Joe de Guzman, technology operations assistant manager. I handle the audio and video editing, voiceovers, and tech. Kate Harper, senior digital marketing coordinator who makes all of our graphics and manages the podcast platform. Esme Uriostegui, senior social media coordinator, who makes and posts all the clips of the podcast to our social feeds. Our music is by Ghost Score. Thank you for listening to or watching the Medical Spa Insider podcast. Please follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future episodes. For more information about the American Med Spa Association, please check our show notes or in the description below.